Part 4. Fire Forged. Chapter 1. March Beside the Goddess. Astrid soared. Wings stretched wide beneath the burning sky, Gullskjoldur in hand, battle waiting just over the horizon, but this time she did not fly alone. To her right, radiant and terrifying, flew Freya. The war goddess wore no crown, no royal mantle, only armor etched with the names of the fallen and a spear that shimmered with the fury of the sun. Her presence was a song in the wind, a storm wrapped in silk. She did not need to command. Her silence was enough. This was Astrid's first campaign as a full-fledged Valkyrie, not a trainee, not a mortal clinging to fury, a sister of the sky, a daughter of war, and she had been summoned not to learn, but to lead. They flew over a realm torn by chaos. A great rift had opened in the borderlands, undead spilled into villages, spirits cried for justice, and the balance was tipping. This was no skirmish. This was a reckoning. Astrid tightened her grip on Gullskjoldur. Freya spoke, her voice carried by wind and will. "You are not here to prove yourself." Astrid glanced over, brow furrowed. "Then, why am I here?" Freya's eyes flashed with fire. "Because I trust you to help end it." And then, the storm broke. The Valkyries descended like lightning upon the battlefield. Screams rose as revenants clawed through shattered gates. Villagers fled, shadows twisted, but where Freya's spear struck, silence followed. Where Astrid charged, flames of golden light burst forth from every sweep of her shield spear. They moved together like breath and heartbeat, Freya the still edge of divine judgment, Astrid the storm-sworn daughter of fury. They did not speak again during the battle. There was only steel and wind and fire. By dusk, the dead lay still, the gates stood tall again, and the people whispered blessings to gods they had never seen, and to a woman with white wings and a voice that sang through blood. Later, as twilight gathered and the Valkyries prepared to depart, Freya stood beside Astrid in the quiet ruins of what had once been a temple. "Your rage no longer burns wild," she said. "You've learned to wield it." Astrid shrugged, wiping blood from her cheek. "I still like to scream a little." Freya smirked. "Good." Then softer. "Tomorrow the gods toast to what you've become." Astrid blinked. "They do?" "They will," Freya said, "because tomorrow Odin meets you." Chapter 2. Mead and Madness. Valhalla roared. The golden halls pulsed with music and mirth. Long tables groaned under the weight of roasted beasts and endless mead horns. Warriors, gods, and spirits toasted loudly enough to shake the heavens. Shields clanged. Songs clashed mid-air. And at the heart of it all sat Astrid Ironsong, battle-worn, still bruised, still grinning. She had returned from her first true campaign beside Freya, and now she was legend in the making. "A toast to the Stormbringer!" cried one warrior. "To the screaming spear maiden!" roared another. "To the drunken Valkyrie!" howled a third, raising a horn in both hands. Astrid rolled her eyes but didn't protest. She was already on her fourth horn, and somehow still clear-eyed. From the head of the table, Odin watched her with a twinkle in his one good eye. The Allfather leaned in toward Freya. "She drinks like Thor and fights like you." Freya smirked. "Worse, she laughs louder." Odin rose, holding his own tankard high. "Astrid Ironsong," he declared. "Come, let's test if your thirst matches your fury." A cheer erupted from the hall. The gods themselves leaned forward, eager. Thor cracked his knuckles. Loki smirked from the shadows. Astrid rose without hesitation. "Do I get to keep the table if I win?" Odin laughed. "Win? Oh, child, you're drunk already." Not yet, she grinned, but you will be. The drinking began. Horn for horn, cup for cup, each round louder, sloppier, wilder. Odin chanted old war songs between gulps. Astrid insulted his beard, then sang louder. Horns shattered. Tankards flew. At some point, someone challenged Thor to arm wrestle a goat. Someone else braided Freya's hair in a drunken daze. And through it all, Astrid held her own. She laughed. She roared. She drank like the fires of Muspelheim were chasing her. But it wasn't reckless. There was rhythm, control. She drank for joy, not escape. By the end of the 10th round, Odin swayed slightly. His eye was bloodshot, and his grin crooked. "You're dangerous," he muttered. "You shouldn't wield just any weapon." Astrid blinked. "What? My spear's not good enough for the gods?" "No," Odin said, slamming his cup down. "You need something louder." He turned to the shadows and shouted, "Bring me Ogrim. Tell him the Valkyrie gets a hammer." Freya raised a brow. "A hammer?" Odin grinned through the haze. "Forged in fire, blessed by mead, for the only warrior mad enough to swing it." Astrid leaned back, arms crossed. "Sounds heavy." Odin smirked. "So are legends." Chapter 3. The Hammer of Ogrim. Odin was many things. Wise, cunning, ancient. Patient was not one of them. "I'm tired of waiting," he declared, slamming his empty stein against the feast table, shattering the base. "Where is that damn dwarf?" Freya raised an eyebrow. "He lives halfway beneath the roots of Yggdrasil." "So?" Odin turned to Astrid. "We're going to get him." Astrid, halfway through a chunk of roast boar, blinked. "Wait, we?" "Don't make me go alone," Odin grumbled. "He hates me." Moments later, they were gone, diving through realms on a ripple of divine will, storming through wind and ash until they stood before a massive iron door carved into the base of a mountain older than names. Odin didn't knock. He kicked it open. Inside, the forge was quiet, embers low, the scent of soot and old magic thick in the air. At the far end sat a short, broad-shouldered figure hammering a blade, as if the world hadn't just been barged into. "I'm busy," the dwarf growled. "Orgrim Iron Fist," Odin bellowed. "The storm's at hand. A hammer must be born." Orgrim sighed, not turning. What, did Thor lose his again? "Not for Thor," Odin said. "For her." Astrid stepped forward, spear across her back, eyes gleaming. Orgrim turned, narrowed his eyes, and frowned. "You're too loud for a ghost." Astrid grinned. "You're too small for a god." That earned a snort. "Fine. Tell me what you want, then leave me alone." "She needs a hammer," Odin said. "One worthy of fire, fury, and mead. One that sings with storm and strength." Orgrim scratched his beard. "That'll cost you." Odin reached into his robes and tossed his golden stein onto the workbench. "Here, melt it down. Make it scream." The dwarf paused, then smiled, and the forge roared to life. The hammer's birth was not quiet. Astrid fed the bellows with fire pulled from Freya's own campaign flame. Odin summoned sap from the roots of Yggdrasil, glowing like liquid dawn. Orgrim poured mead onto the anvil between strikes, laughing as sparks flew and lightning flashed across the ceiling. Astrid spun Gulskjoldur in hand, tracing battle runes in the smoke as she chanted over the molten steel. "Craft for me the storm's embrace, a hammer to bear heaven's blaze." With each strike, the earth shuddered. Metal bent to will, runes carved themselves into glowing trails of fate. Dragon chain, world root, golden steel, divine wrath. And finally, silence. Orgrim held it up. A one-handed hammer, heavy with balance, inscribed with radiant lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. The head glowed faintly gold with inner flame. The handle, wrapped in dwarven leather, bore Astrid's sigil at the base. "This," Orgrim said, voice hoarse, "is Himmensglad. Heaven's blaze." He placed it in Astrid's hands. It pulsed once. Warmth, power, purpose. Astrid exhaled. "It's beautiful." "It's yours," Odin said. "Now go break something." Chapter 4. Into the Flame. The skies above Muspelheim bled orange. Ash fell like snow across blackened peaks. Rivers of molten rock carved through charred canyons, and the air burned with a heat that could peel the soul from bone. This was no place for mortals. This was a crucible, a proving ground for gods. Astrid landed with a heavy thud, boots cracking obsidian. Her wings flared briefly before folding to her back, soot rising around her. Himmensglad pulsed in her grip, warm, alive, eager. She adjusted her grip on the hammer's haft, runes flaring golden against her gauntlet. The heat didn't touch her. Whether from the divine forgework or her own fire, she didn't know. She didn't care. She was here for one reason. "Surtur!" she growled. "Come out, you fiery bastard!" The fire giant answered. The ground split. The mountain groaned. A massive shape rose from the magma, crowned in flame and fury. His sword burned brighter than the sun, and every step sent tremors through the land. He loomed like the end of days. Astrid smirked. Perfect size for a test swing. Surtur roared. The sky ignited. Astrid flew. She struck first, Himmensglad crashing into Surtur's shoulder with a sound like the shattering of stars. Flame exploded outward, but the hammer drank it in. Its runes glowed brighter, fed by the fury. Surtur backhanded her midair, sending her tumbling across scorched stone. She rolled, slid, and sprang up laughing. "You hit like a drunk troll." The fight was chaos. Flame and thunder, metal and roar. Surtur's blade carved canyons with each swing. Astrid darted through the firestorms, her wings leaving trails of golden light behind her. She struck again, once to the ribs, once to the leg. The hammer sang each time, leaving trails of seared rune fire across the giant's flesh. Then came the moment. Surtur raised his blade high, both hands gripping it, flame howling from the edge. Astrid didn't dodge. She charged. Himmensglad met the sword mid-swing. The force shattered the rock beneath them. A shock wave ripped through Muspelheim. Silence followed. Then, a cracking sound. Surtur staggered. His sword split down the center, glowing with fault lines. And Astrid, panting, wings spread and laughing through bloodied lips, raised her hammer. "Not bad," she muttered. "But you're no Odin." Surtur collapsed, smoke billowing from the crater his fall left behind. Astrid stood alone, a mortal no more, a flame now proven. Chapter 5. The Spark That Woke the Dead. Surtur's body still burned. Though the fire giant lay broken across the blackened craters of Muspelheim, embers continued to swirl from his form, slow, flickering reminders of the god he had been. His blade, split in two, hissed in cooling magma. His crown of flame had faded to smoke. Astrid stood over him, shoulders heaving. Himmensglad pulsed with heat that was not her own. The hammer thrummed, runes glowing brighter than ever, alive, aware, calling. She stared at the weapon, unsure. "He should stay dead," she murmured aloud. But something stirred within her. A memory, a whisper, a promise. You were meant to rise. Freya's voice, but also her own. And more, an oath once spoken in half-drunken defiance to Odin himself. I want a weapon that can create, not just destroy. She had said it as a joke, but Odin had listened, and now the hammer answered. Astrid drove Himmensklad into the earth beside Surtur's fallen form. The runes flared, not gold this time, but white-blue. A pure blaze that seared through stone and smoke alike. The ground trembled. Flames roared to life around them, spiraling upward into the sky like a beacon. A resurrection. Surtur's form twitched. The magma that bled from his wounds reversed. His cracked skin began to knit. His ribs groaned back into place. Astrid didn't flinch. She gritted her teeth, pressing the hammer deeper. "This isn't mercy," she growled. "It's purpose. Get up, Surtur. We're not done." A pulse radiated outward, a shockwave that rippled across the branches of Yggdrasil itself. The realms felt it. And in the cold, silent reaches of Helheim, a goddess looked up from the mist. Her eyes narrowed. The threads of death had twitched. Her fingers paused their weaving. "That soul was mine," Hel whispered, "and she touched it." She stood slowly, shadows coiling around her feet. Astrid Ironsong, the mortal-turned Valkyrie, the one she had once spoken to beneath the roots when fate had not yet crowned her. "You burn too brightly," she had said then. "Careful, or even the dead will turn to follow your light." Now it had happened, and Hel remembered every word.